Soccer is a simple game to play, requiring simple skills. What makes great soccer players is perfecting these skills. Coach Carl DeWazian is a United States Soccer Federation A licensed coach. He has dedicated his life to teaching coaches the most efficient way to coach our children. His techniques are both simple and effective, and they get results. Coach Carl makes coaching easy. The Fundamental Soccer Practice of Champions is a 9-step routine that helps children develop into better soccer players while having fun. The Fundamental Soccer Practice of Champions is a 9-step routine that helps children develop into better soccer players while having fun. Step 1. Let's begin practice.
We want to make sure that our practice sessions are set up just like a rehearsal for the game on Saturday. Make sure that as the child comes to you, you socialize with the child. In other words, greet the child and then socialize. Make sure that the children socialize with each other. It usually is a very good idea to get them active as quickly as possible. We suggest juggling. Juggling is just fantastic to get good eye-foot coordination, also get the confidence of being able to handle that ball. A lot of coaches also use the sandwich approach, which would mean before practice actually starts, they will play some type of a fun game. Now the fun game should be related again to the theme of what we're going to teach in practice. Once all the children have showed up, and you'll find that if you play a fun game, they'll show up early. Once they've all shown up, then what we do is we start the official practice session. I would suggest that you actually do a routine. The routine would be to walk as a group onto the soccer field. We all now understand that it's time to concentrate. The first thing that the coach has to do is to begin the practice, and that would be to do a demonstration and explanation of the theme. You have in mind what you will teach. You're teaching your players what they will learn this particular practice session. So the demonstration explanation is the first part of practice. In the warm-up, what we suggest is that each player have a ball, and what we have come up with is what we call the figure 8 stretch routine. Each child has 2 cones. We expect the players to lay out their cones on the signal, and the signal would be a fun word. The children like the word sunshine. Each time that we gave the signal of sunshine, they would lay out their little environment, which is to start with their feet together, going to the right side, putting down the cone. Feet come back together, maybe doing a little bit of a stretch, going to the left side and repeating the same movement. The key to the figure 8 stretch routine is that as soon as the child has laid out their cones, they immediately start moving that ball. We alternate between laying down cones, doing the figure 8, or picking up the cones and then just dribbling around the environment. So it's dribbling, laying down the cones, doing the figure 8, doing a stretch inside of those figure 8s. We have found that inside of the figure 8 stretch routine, a player will touch the ball somewhere between 300 and 500 times per 5 minutes. Now, if you want lots of touches with the ball, there's your key. Use the figure 8 stretch routine. Set up a nice big grid for me. Go inside and start dribbling around. Grab blue cones, two of them. Grab 2 green cones.
How many?
Just 2. 2 purple cones, grab a ball. Put on some fancy dribbling moves if you have any, but stay inside of this grid right here. Right inside the orange part. And stop the ball. Anytime I say the word revolution, what you're going to do is this, and copy me right now. Your feet are together in front of your ball. I want you to go to the right side as far as you can. Put down the cone. Bring your feet back together on top. Touch your toes with the other cone. Come on back up. Go to the left side. Put down the cone. As soon as you come up, start dribbling your ball in a figure 8. We're all doing it. Excellent. Okay, watch me, please. What you want to do is you want to roll it forward and keep your toes up for about 8 to 10 seconds. Roll it all the way around and bring your toes down for a few seconds. So you roll it around the cone and stop it, stretch, go to the other side and stretch downward, okay? In the middle, go into the middle. Let's go to the right side. Pick up the cone. Touch your toes. Go to the left side. Pick up the other cone and start dribbling your ball. Off you go. Revolution. Don't wait for me. What do you need to do? And what? There. Put it down. Excellent. Touch the toes. Go to the other side. Brilliant. Cones are down. Excellent. Just use your right foot. Only your right foot. Left foot only. Just your left foot. Okay, watch me. What I want you to do is you're in this position here, roll the ball around the cone and then around your foot. So you're going around the cone and then around the foot. Revolution. Go around one cone with your right foot, the other cone with your left foot. Okay, watch me, please. About this far from the cone, go around in a figure eight here. If you're standing a little bit sideways, you're stretching the groin muscle. Revolution. Watch me on this one. You're touching it with the sole. So you're going around the cone this way in your figure eight. Okay, using your right foot, just your right foot. What I want you to do is, the ball is in front of you, you're going to take this leg here, you're going to touch the ball here. Okay, so you're here, you touch the ball here. Okay, so you're here just like one of those, what do they call those things that go in the water? Flamingo, there you go. Be a flamingo here. Can any of you roll the ball around your leg while you're standing up? Oh, great stuff. Okay, switch feet. You're going to go right foot, left foot, and you're going to go around in your figure eight. All right, off you go. Sit down, put the ball between your feet here, and then try to touch your forehead to the ball. I want you to take the ball around by having it going from foot to foot. Get as many touches in as you possibly can. Okay, so you're here, and all I want you to do is go up. Pretend that you're going to try to reach that ball. I don't want you to come this far. because that's not a good way to do a sit-up. I just want you to come here and sit about right here and try to stretch up for it, okay? Want you to dribble backwards any way that you want, but go backwards with the ball. Any way that you want. Okay, switch feet. What I want you to do is you take the ball, put it out right here, and press it against your forehead to 10 times. Take it to the side, press 10 times. In the back, press 10. And to the other side, press 10. You're on your own. Make any fake in the middle. In the middle on your figure eight, you come up with the fake that you like. But do the same one over and over. Go around in your figure eight and then do your fake. There you go. Do the fake in the middle. That's it. Juggle the ball around in a figure eight. Juggle the ball, that means keep it up in the air. I don't care if it's thigh, head, but try to go around as you're going in the figure eight. Here's the key to what we're teaching in the warm-up. The key is that each time that we say the buzzword, the child learns to lay out their own environment. Their own environment at first was to go in a figure eight motion. What we're doing now is we're asking the child to go into the 1+1. This means that we will be working on individual technique. 2 players, 1 ball. Now, if you watch the children here, see them lay out their environment. There's the first goal. You see them going across the field. There's the second goal. One of the neatest things that we have come up with as far as the 1+1 is concerned is the start of each action. What we would like to do is have you introduce to the children how to serve the ball. What we do in this case is we lay out our little cones, but there's also a third cone laid down for visual cue as to the distance to play. What we do is we start going around the 1 cone, going to the deep cone, we then ask the child to use the buzzwords of push, peek, and pass the ball to the partner. Okay, we're going to be together. Wherever he goes, you're going to go. Okay, see where he is? See where he is? Watch him, watch him, watch him. Look. Okay, he's here. Here he comes. And there's the ball, and control it. Got it? The coach focuses on both the attacking as well as the defending techniques. The attacking techniques are broken down into, the first one is to look. In other words, ball in flight, look left and right. It means as the ball is traveling, make sure that you read the game. The second one is to move. Moving would mean very simply is move so that the opponent can't cover you. The next one is to bring the ball under control. Here all we look for is to make sure that the child does a little magic hop, which means that just before the ball gets to them, they just lift their other foot off the ground just like a tiny skip. No problem bringing the ball under control using the magic hop. Keeping the ball under control, they have to be able to keep the ball under control against opposition. If in fact they can beat one opponent, that means that our team is numbers up. It means that the other team is short, and obviously we'll find that player who's open, pass the ball to him, score, and win our ball game. So they have to be able to keep the ball under control. They also need to be able to release the ball under control. If they in fact are passing the ball, very simply, they push the ball forward, peek to see their partner, and place the ball at that space. So in other words, we use self-talk. The buzzwords are push, peek, and place, which tells the body what to do. We've covered the attacking themes, which are look, move, bring under control, keep under control, and release under control. We make it very simple because the defensive player has to do the same things. First, they have to look. What they need to look for first primarily is the goal. They need to then move. In other words, look and find the goal, move to block the goal, and then pressure the ball. Then you need to bring the opponent under control. We use the defensive stance in this case. The defensive stance would be just like a boxer, 1 foot forward, 1 back. Now keeping the opponent under control, just like a boxer again, we use the front foot as a jabber. That forces the player to bring their eyes down. If they can't see or read the field, they can't do anything that's damaging to our team. So what we do is we make attempts at that ball by keeping the player under control. The last theme is to take the ball away. If we have the opportunity, we see that the opponent is not under control of the ball, we literally take the ball away. So in both cases, attack and defend, we look, we move, we bring something under control, we keep it under control, and then we release it under control. The 1+1 is what we call the cooperative stage. Cooperation means that the child or the player understands that there will be stoppages. The coach will stop them and make corrections. Corrections might be by asking questions. We might use a little bit of kinesiology where we adjust the body. Or the child should understand that they cooperate with their teammate. In other words, we might ask the player to slow down so that the other player can work on their basic skills. As they get a little bit better, we ask them to increase pressure by speeding up a little bit more. So the 1+1 environment, cooperation is important. Everyone understands there will be stoppages to teach, and there will be working together to improve basic skills. The 1+1 leads into the 1 versus 1. Now the environment has already been laid out. The difference between the 1+1, which is cooperative play, and the 1 versus 1 is competitive play. But the gigantic difference is what the coach does in these two environments. In the cooperative play, we ask the coach to literally stop the children, make corrections, and help them improve. Once the 1 versus 1 game gets started, just one thing we want you to do, and that's to observe. We would like for you to be able to take notes, find out what weaknesses the child has, and then make sure that you make that weakness your theme for the following practice. So we go from the 1+1, working on individual technique, going into the 1 versus 1, allowing the child to experiment and fail their way to success on the theme that we're working on. In the 1 versus 1, the whole idea here is that we want to create competition amongst players. We would like for you as a coach to make sure that every child plays every other child on the team. We serve the ball first from the right side, rotate around the whole team. Then we serve the ball from the left side, rotate and play against the whole team.
You're going to start with the serve. You're going to serve the ball to your partner, and once you've got the ball, you're going to play against each other. So where are you going to try to score? There, where are you going to try to score? You got it. Where are you going to score? You got it. Where are you going to score? Here. And can you score from either side? Absolutely. There's no boundaries. You can score from either side. Whenever you're ready to go, start with the serve. Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. How do you start a serve? And you're going, and you're going, and you're going, and pass him the ball, and you're playing. Keep playing, keep playing. There are no boundaries. The ball's always in play. And go get some more. Go get it again. Revolution! Okay, sit down. How many points? 1. How many? You know, if you chase after the ball, if it's there, you can come back and get it more. How many? 0. I want you to stand up and go to this side here. All of you guys, I'm going to say rotate. That means all of you go 1 over. So you scoot to here, you go to there. All of you go 1 over and sit down. Go ahead. And sit down. And sit down. And sit down. You go across. All of you that are sitting, scoot 1 goal over. Make sure the balls are on this side. You're the new boss. Okay, we've got a new boss. When he goes, the rest of you go.
Ready? Go.
Here's the key to this process. What we're looking for is the child who's weaker needs a stronger player to play against so that they have a role model. In other words, the stronger player will put on moves. They'll show them things that the weaker player is going to pick up in their subconscious mind. Hopefully they'll have the fortitude to go out and try those skills so that sometime at the end of the season they'll be able to play as well as the good player. Now the strong player needs to play against somebody who's weak. And the reason is, as they are working on special skills, they need to succeed. If they were constantly playing against stronger players, they may not be able to pick up on this new technique. The problem here is that if they are not successful, they won't try it again. One of the most important things that you'll see inside of our environment here is that the fields are adjacent to each other. You see no boundaries. We have found that when you work with children, especially the younger ones, if there are boundaries, as soon as the ball goes out of play, we have a little argument. No, you touched it last. No, I touched it last. Well, in the 1-versus-1 game, there's no one to throw the ball into. What we would like to do is have adjacent fields. Make sure that the ball occasionally gets into the other field because we want the child to have to make decisions. Decisions are being made because there are other players around. When those other players are around, not just 1 against 1, but the other players from the other fields who are interfering, we need to decide, how do I get past these players in order to still score a goal, which is exactly what happens in a regulation game. So leave the boundaries away. Have an open field. By the way, they can score goals from either side of the goal, from the back side, the front side. And you'll see a lot of players get very tricky. They'll just stay on top of that goal line. If that happens, start putting in rules. One might be that you must dribble through the cones in order to score. Another might be the distance that you want to pass the ball in order to score a goal. There are all kinds of rules. Use your imagination, but don't have any boundaries. We want these children to be active somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds. Because believe me, the 1-versus-1 game, after 1 minute, you're ready for a rest. One of the keys is that you don't play beyond the physical fitness of the children. So be sure that you observe them very closely. Because if it's too physical, then the technique will break down. So try to keep your games limited to somewhere between 30 and 60 seconds. Then make sure that you also have either an active break, which would mean maybe the children are passing the ball back and forward to each other, or an inactive break where they literally stop. Now, one of the things that we suggest is, rather than just having a break, you as a coach keep a motivational chart, which would mean you ask each child how many points they scored.
How many points? 1 total, right? 2. Very good. How many points? Keep counting up. How many? 0. How many? 2. Very good. Still 0. Wow. How many? 3. How many?
Some coaches have gone so far to decide who the starting lineup is by these 1-versus-1 games. In other words, whoever wins their 1-versus-1 games during practice, they're the ones that start the game. We said that practice is rehearsal for the game. If we take steps number 3 and 4, those should be equal in playing time to the first half of their game. So in other words, if the first half of their game is 20 minutes, the steps 3 and step 4 should be 20 minutes long. Now the 1-versus-1 is finished. The children will be definitely pooped, but it's also halftime. As we suggested, steps number 3 and 4 are equal to the first half of play. So here also the halftime routine. It should be equal to the time that you're given to prepare the players for second half in the game. So find out from your league how much time you have. It could be somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. During that time, extremely important. Make sure that the children rehydrate. Give them some water. We want them to be able to relax. Give them a chance to talk to each other, and definitely make sure that you talk to each one of them. Get them ready for the second half of the game, as you will get them ready for the second half of our practice. Now the second half of our practice, what we do here is we play small-sided games. Small-sided games would be any game that's beyond one player against one player. So it might be 2 against 1, 2 against 2. It's all the way up to the team game. Now you can have either even-sided games, that would mean that the numbers are equal on both teams, or you can have uneven-sided games. Our suggestion is that you use uneven-sided games to improve passing. Enforce the 2-touch rule. The 2-touch rule means that when the ball comes to a player, they're limited to 2 touches. The first touch to control the ball, the second touch obviously to pass the ball. What you should do is start with the 4-versus-0 game. We have a goal to attack, we have a goal to defend. The 4 players are limited to 2-touch play. What we do here now is 4 against 0. Once you see that the players are capable of doing that, they're telling you that we would like more competition. So now you would introduce your first opponent. Your game now becomes 4-versus-1, and so on. As they get better against the 1 player, you would go against 2 players, but we suggest that you never go 4 against 4, because 4 against 4, what we're doing is we're playing 4 1-against-1 games. More than likely there won't be anyone to pass to, and without a lot of repetition of the passing technique, they'll never learn how to pass the ball properly. Now, even-sided games means that they're working on all techniques except passing. So you're dribbling, bringing ball under control, and so forth. All those things would be covered in even-sided games. Small-sided games are divided into 2 parts again. We have a cooperative small-sided game where the player understands and the coach knows that they will teach. So in other words, as the action goes on, both coach and player will not be annoyed over the fact that all of a sudden the game is stopped to make corrections.
Say, and go get it. What are you standing there for? Don't tell them to go get it. You help them out.
We also have the competitive small-sided game. Here the coach understands he has only one job, and that job is to observe. So going back to our first part of the practice, when we played 1+1, that was cooperation. We had the coach explain to the child how to improve the technique. We do the same thing in a small-sided game, and that would be the cooperative side. The coach stops and teaches. As soon as competition starts, like in the 1-versus-1 game, now we stop, and what the coach only does in this case would be to observe. Hopefully you've noticed that what we are trying to do in the fundamental practice is teach the child to lay out their own environment. In the 1+1 and 1-versus-1, you saw them laying out the cones. We expect them to do the same thing here in the small-sided game.
We're going to play small-sided games. Field number 1, go set up. Field number 2, go set up.
we have a little formula for you. The formula is quite simple. What we do is we take the larger team, multiply that by 10 yards, and that's the distance between the goals. So in other words, if the game is 2 against 1, larger team is 2 players, multiplied times 10 yards, the players should place the cones down 20 yards apart.
20 big steps.
If the game is 4 versus 1, as an example, 4 players on the larger team times 10 yards, they'll place the cones 40 yards apart. Now on the width, if the topic is attacking, make the field wider so that there's success and more space to cover. We need the attackers to have the space so that they can score lots of goals. Now if the theme is defending, what we want is a narrower field so that there's less space to defend and there's more success to the defending team. So now you've got your formula. It's the larger team times 10 yards. The width of the field depends on if we're either attacking or if we're defending. You adjust the field accordingly. You've noticed in the small-sided game that the children are becoming adept to the technique or the theme that you're teaching. The next step is the scrimmage. We have the scrimmage divided again into 2 types of scrimmages. The first one is cooperative, and guess what? During the cooperative scrimmage, yes, the children know that you'll stop the action, you'll make some correction.
All right, guys, one rule. Everybody has to 2-touch the ball. That's a 1-touch. White scores. That's a 1-touch. Yellow scores 1-1. That's 3 touches. Yellow scores. That's a 1-touch. White scores 2-2. That's a 1-touch. White wins. White wins. Come on in. No, but you 1-touched it. Whites, come on in. I want you to go to yellow guy. Watch him do 10 push-ups.
Then comes the fun part, because the next part is the competitive scrimmage. We call it the free game. In other words, your job as a coach is to observe, take notes, while the children are free to have fun, experiment, and again, fail their way to success.
Guys, go ahead and scrimmage. No rules. I'm getting out of here. You go ahead and play. No rules. You're on your own.
Now the scrimmage includes, and I would suggest, that you would always play a full team. In other words, whatever the game may be, if it's 7 aside, 10 aside, 11 aside, be sure that you put the full starting lineup on the field. Let them have a great time. So back to our timing. Steps number 6, which is the small-sided game, and step number 7, which is the scrimmage. Those 2 activities should be equal to the second half of their game. In other words, we've used the 1+1 and the 1 versus 1 as their first half of play. And now we're using the small-sided game and the scrimmage as their second half of play. Like to get the players really fit? Continue playing the scrimmage just a little bit longer. Believe me, they'll play that game forever. So we finished the scrimmage. The next step, very, very important. We should never forget this one, and that would be the cool down. The physical cool down is just as important as the warm-up, maybe even more so. Because in this case, the player has gone through all kinds of damage of running around, of twisting, bouncing, and all these type of things. The player needs to be brought back to normal state. How do we do that? Maybe a little bit light running, that would be a start. But definitely do some stretching. And the most important stretch would be to open up the vertebrae in the spine. Make sure that the youngsters do a few toe touches, and then you can send them on home to mom and dad. We also have an ending to our practice session. What we would like for you to do is make sure that you have a psychological cool down. That means that you recognize each child. Be sure you go up to them, compliment them for the job well done. Make sure that you let them know that you enjoyed the fact that they came to your practice, and definitely let them know that they improved. The next thing is you might cover a couple of things like when next practice is or when the next game is. So, if you have a good beginning and you have a good ending, obviously the children will want to come back and practice some more. I've been in the business of coaching mom and dad coaches for the last 25 years or so, and one of the things I found is that we take the game very serious, but we take the practice session not very serious. We need to reverse those two. What I would like to see is mom and dad actually make the practice more serious so that the child can have fun performing the technique. This is what the fundamental practice is all about. Remember one of the things that I try to teach everyone, and that is that the outcome of our children is infinitely more important than the outcome of any game that they'll ever play. Thank you.